You were never meant to remain what the world told you to be. Beneath the noise, beyond the chaos, there is a voice. Not loud, not forceful, but certain. It whispers a truth you've long forgotten. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become. This message is not comfort. It is confrontation. It challenges everything you've ever blamed, every excuse you've made, every mask you've worn to survive. But if you stay, if you dare to walk through the fire instead of around it, you'll come face to face with a version of yourself not built by fear or conformity, but by courage. This is not just another motivational speech. This is a confrontation with your deepest potential. Stay until the end, because the version of you that walks away will not be the one who pressed play. There comes a moment in every thinking person's life when they confront the silent terror of chaos, not the chaos of the world, but the chaos within. It manifests as confusion, fragmentation, helplessness. It whispers, "You are not enough. You are broken. You are lost." And yet, the truth hidden beneath this despair is far more radical. You are not what the chaos tells you you are. You are what you choose to become. But that choice is not made lightly. It demands a confrontation with your unconscious, a journey into the depths of your being where most refuse to look. The chaos is not the enemy. The refusal to face it is. In a culture that hands you identities, prescribes roles, and tells you what to value, it is a revolutionary act to stop, turn inward, and ask, who am I when the noise fades? That question is not answered in a sentence. It is answered in a life. You were born into a story already unfolding, a family, a culture, a name, a set of inherited wounds. But the tragedy is not that these were given to you. The tragedy is when you come to believe that this is all you are. The unconscious, that vast interior realm beneath the surface of your awareness, holds the fragments of what you have not yet chosen. Your rage, your brilliance, your shame, your potential, all lie waiting. And it is only when you begin to take conscious ownership of your existence that these fragments come alive. To say, "I am what I choose to become," is not a statement of arrogance. It is an act of sacred responsibility. Because in that moment, you stop blaming the past and start engaging the present. You move from being a product of experience to a participant in meaning. But to choose requires awareness, and awareness requires suffering. It is a painful thing to realize that your current life is the echo of unconscious choices made under fear, not freedom. We think of choice as something that happens in the moment. Should I go left or right? Speak or remain silent? Stay or walk away? But these are surface-level expressions of deeper truths. Real choice begins when you uncover why you make those decisions in the first place. Why do you sabotage yourself? Why do you repeat the same relationship patterns? Why do you betray your own values? The answer is not because you are broken. It is because you are unconscious. The moment you become conscious, you open the possibility of transformation. But you cannot transform what you refuse to see. The darkness must be faced, not fought. You are not choosing between good and evil in most moments of life. You are choosing between truth and illusion, between becoming yourself or remaining a mask. And that choice is made, again and again, in how you live each moment, how you treat others, how you speak to yourself when no one is listening. This is why confronting the shadow is not a luxury. It is a necessity. The shadow is not evil in itself. It is merely everything about you that you have not yet made peace with. And it grows more powerful the more you avoid it. The man who represses his anger becomes passive-aggressive. The woman who denies her ambition becomes resentful. The individual who fears their own capacity for violence becomes vulnerable to the manipulation of others. The paradox is this: what you reject within yourself controls you. What you integrate becomes your strength. Clarity does not come from suppressing your darkness, but from illuminating it. You are not here to become pure. You are here to become whole. And wholeness includes contradiction, complexity, and chaos that has been turned toward purpose. It is easy to talk about light, about growth, about potential. But none of these are real unless they are born out of honest confrontation with your own inner shadow. To know yourself, you must first admit that you do not. You must come to terms with the fact that you are a stranger to parts of your own psyche. And then, with courage, walk into that unknown territory. What you find there may unsettle you. You may discover parts of yourself that you were told were wrong, your rage, your hunger for power, your deep desire to be seen. But these are not to be destroyed. They are to be understood. They are to be disciplined. They are to be integrated into a self that is capable of navigating the world without being possessed by it. The most dangerous people are not those who acknowledge their darkness. They are the ones who deny it, and then act it out unconsciously. If you do not own your shadow, it will own you. It will wear a mask of virtue, but behind that mask will be fear, manipulation, and shame. The journey toward clarity is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you were before the world taught you to forget. In the beginning, we all wear masks. It is not a flaw, it is a necessity. The child adapts to survive. They learn to behave in ways that secure love, avoid rejection, and navigate chaos. But what was once adaptive becomes restrictive. The mask you wore to be accepted becomes the prison you can no longer escape. You tell yourself, this is who I am. But deep down, you know it's not the whole story. The tragedy is not that we play roles. The tragedy is when we forget that they are roles. You were never meant to remain a character in someone else's narrative. You were meant to become the author of your own. But authorship requires awareness, and awareness is a burden. It means no more excuses, no more blaming the past, no more hiding behind inherited beliefs. It means standing in the tension between who you are and who you could be. And that tension, that psychic pressure, is the birthplace of transformation. There is no finished self. You are not a statue carved out of stone. You are a river. You are not fixed. You are flowing. To define yourself once and for all is to betray the mystery of your becoming. You are always in dialogue with life, with the unconscious, with the unknown. Every experience reshapes you. Every wound leaves a mark. Every insight alters your perception. The mistake is believing that growth means arriving. In truth, growth means continuing. The goal is not perfection, but integration. To carry your wounds with grace. To own your contradictions with humility. To allow your past to inform you without imprisoning you. When you say, I am what I choose to become, you are stepping into the unknown with your eyes open. You are not seeking to control the chaos, but to find clarity within it. That clarity does not come from certainty. It comes from courage. The courage to become. The modern world sells us identities like products. Be this. Post that. Perform this role. Fit into that category. And yet, something inside resists. It whispers, this is not who I am. That whisper is the voice of the self, the deeper center of your being, that is not interested in image, but in truth. The self does not want you to fit in. It wants you to wake up. It does not care whether you are praised or rejected. It only asks, are you living in alignment with what is true for you? That is the terrifying freedom of self-knowledge. Because once you know, you can no longer pretend. Once you've seen the mask, you cannot unsee it. And once you've heard the voice of the self, you cannot go back to silence. But this is not a curse. It is a liberation. Because when you stop pretending, you begin to create. Not just art, not just success, but a life that feels real. And so, you are not lost. You are waiting. You are not broken. You are unfolding. And the chaos around you is not here to destroy you. It is here to demand a response. Who will you choose to become in the face of uncertainty? Will you collapse into fear, or will you rise into freedom? That choice is not made once. It is made every morning, every moment, every breath. And it is never too late to begin again. Because clarity is not something given. It is something earned. Through suffering, through honesty, through relentless courage to keep walking even when the path disappears. You become what you are willing to confront. You become what you refuse to hide. You become what you choose. So often, the very person who enters your life and stirs something deep within you is not just a companion, they are a mirror. A reflection of all that remains unresolved in your inner world. You meet them, and suddenly, your certainties begin to falter. Your carefully constructed defenses start to wobble. It feels like love, yes, but not only a soft, comforting kind. It is also disruptive, provocative, unsettling. And in that disturbance lies the great mystery. We do not merely fall in love with another person, we fall into confrontation with ourselves through them. It is not coincidence. The soul calls forth people who awaken it. They arrive not to complete you, but to reveal where you are still incomplete. This is the shadow at play, those parts of you that you have denied, suppressed, or misunderstood, now rising to the surface through the dynamics of intimacy. The one who triggers your insecurities is often the one unconsciously chosen to help you face them, not because life wants to torment you, but because healing cannot happen in isolation. It requires the mirror of another, a sacred relationship where projection and reality dance closely together. In this reflection, you begin to see not only what you love, but what you fear. You recognize how easily you demand what you are not yet ready to give. You notice the expectations you carry from the past, the parent who abandoned, the partner who betrayed, the friend who left when you needed them most, all being unconsciously layered onto the present moment. The person in front of you may be new, but the wounds you carry are not. They have been waiting for the right conditions to be seen, felt, and transformed. Love becomes the catalyst, not the cure. And here's where many turn away. The reflection is too raw, too intense. The intimacy feels invasive, not because the other is wrong, but because the truth revealed is too uncomfortable to hold. Yet this is the crucible of awakening. If you remain, if you stay present with the discomfort, rather than fleeing into familiar distractions, you begin to see that this isn't about them. It's about you. About the layers of your identity that were built to survive, not to thrive. About the parts of your personality crafted to win love, not to receive it. The relationship becomes alchemical not because it is perfect, but because it is honest. And in that honesty, the soul evolves. This is why the most profound connections often come wrapped in chaos. Not to harm, but to shake loose what no longer serves. They come not to coddle your wounds, but to demand that you face them. To love someone truly, and to be loved in return, is to enter a sacred contract. I will show you your light, and I will also show you your darkness. If we both remain courageous, we will not turn away. We will grow. This is not romance as fantasy. This is love as transformation. The kind that breaks the surface of appearances and demands depth. The kind that looks you in the eyes and says, I see you, even the parts you wish I didn't. Yet for such moments to unfold, something else must also be in place. Timing, not in the linear sense of clocks and calendars, but in the symbolic rhythm of the psyche. There is a season for everything, and the encounter that transforms cannot be rushed. When the soul is not yet ready, love feels like pressure. When the psyche is still fragmented, intimacy feels like invasion. That is why some of the deepest connections come and go or appear only to vanish. It is not rejection. It is reverence. For readiness, the universe does not waste sacred unions on unprepared hearts. It waits. And when you begin to trust that timing, you move from desperation to surrender. You understand that the delay is not denial. It is design. This is where the concept of synchronicity enters the soul's conversation. Synchronicity is not superstition. It is the language of the unconscious, the invisible web that connects all things beyond logic. A song plays at the right moment. A stranger says the very words you needed to hear. You meet someone in the most improbable of ways, and yet it feels like a return, not a beginning. These are not random occurrences. They are evidence that life, in its deeper dimension, is listening to your becoming. That your inner transformation is mirrored by external events. When you begin to align with your truth, life begins to arrange itself accordingly, not always comfortably, but always purposefully. Synchronicities increase when you are in alignment with your path. They are signs that you are nearing something meaningful, perhaps even destined. But the mistake would be to idolize the signs without understanding their message. Synchronicity is not there to confirm your fantasies. It's there to awaken your awareness. When two people meet in such a moment, it is not because fate indulges their wishes. It is because their souls are vibrating at a frequency that calls the other forth. But again, this calling is not for comfort alone. It is for growth, for depth, for healing. A soul encounter guided by synchronicity will often bring everything to the surface: your gifts, your wounds, your fears, your longings. It will not allow you to hide, because what is meant for you cannot be fully received if you are only partially present. This is why clarity follows chaos. Not because the chaos disappears, but because you develop the eyes to see its purpose. You begin to trust the unfolding. You stop trying to force outcomes and start listening to patterns. The soul is not linear. It speaks in symbols, in echoes, in repetitions. It brings the same lesson in different forms until you finally integrate the truth it holds. And in relationships, this becomes especially evident. You will attract the same energy in different faces until you confront what remains unresolved in you. But once you do, once you honor the lesson, rather than resent the pain, something shifts. The pattern dissolves. And in its place, something new emerges, not only in your psyche, but in your outer world. The one you are waiting for does not come to complete youth. They come because you have completed a cycle. Because you have done the inner work. Because you have peeled away enough layers to finally recognize them when they arrive. And when they do, they will not demand performance or perfection. They will speak a language your soul remembers. It will not feel like conquest. It will feel like recognition. But even then, the work does not end. Love is not the finish line. It is the beginning of the next level of becoming. To sustain such a union, you must continue to grow together, but also individually. And this brings us to the final revelation, that the greatest gift you can give to another is not your need, but your wholeness. Not your dependency, but your depth. Wholeness is not about being flawless, it is about being integrated. It is about knowing your darkness and choosing love anyway. It is about standing in your truth even when it shakes. And from that place, you attract not someone to fix you, but someone who resonates with the frequency of your healing. Love becomes not a transaction, but a transmission. A shared presence where both souls are free to unfold, without fear of abandonment or suffocation. When you become whole, you stop seeking and start seeing. You see beauty where you once saw lack. You see potential where you once saw pain. You begin to trust that what is for you cannot be missed, not because you are entitled to it, but because you are prepared for it. Wholeness attracts wholeness, not perfection, but authenticity. And in that space, love does not bind, it liberates. It does not demand, it invites. It does not fill a void, amplifies what is already sacred within you. The person you are destined to meet will not complete your story, they will complement your becoming. And together, not in possession, but in partnership, you will explore the mystery of what it means to truly see and be seen.